let's talk about the difference between a squat and a deadlift. I want you to think about it more on a vertical and horizontal plane. And so vertical, up and down, and then horizontal plane. A squat keeps you in more of a vertical plane. Your hips bend, your knees bend, and your ankles bend all at the same time. And you basically just go down. You drop it like it's hot towards the floor. A deadlift, you go more horizontal. And so with the squat, your chest stays more upright, your femurs go more horizontal. But in the deadlift, your trunk goes more horizontal. Your femurs stay more upright, and same thing with the lower leg. And so you start to go more back and forth with your body because your butt shifts back and your chest goes down, and they kind of separate where they're going. Here, you just drop it. You drop everything low. Here in your deadlift, you become more of a hip-centric movement. Now, why I'm making this more of a good morning or an RDL is that I want you to not think about what's happening at your knees. Whenever you do a full deadlift, you go all the way down and you pick up a weight or plate or some type of load from the ground. Whenever you're doing more RDLs or good mornings, you're actually holding them first, and then you go as low as you can, keeping your knees nice and soft and making sure that you don't actually drop and bend your knees too much. This keeps it a hip-centric movement, a hip hinge. What you're doing is you're hinging and using and staying most of your load to keep it at your hips. This makes your glutes and your hamstrings have to work more. This also makes your posterior chain, aka your back, glutes and hamstrings, because those are all considered in your posterior chain, have to work harder as a whole. And so as you think about that, if you add in your knees, then now you get into more of this lower position, but I want you to think about keeping your butt upright. And so you actually become more here instead of as a squat where your chest is more upright. And so you're reaching down low to get this, but your butt stays up. This, if you keep your chest upright too much, then you try to squat your deadlift. This is important for whenever you're biking, you're mountain biking. If you try to squat too much, then you actually don't have as much support forward and back. You lose your balance more so on your feet because you don't have as much forward and back ability to go. You end up pulling on your bars and you load different areas that you wouldn't necessarily want to load, aka your quads. Your quads burn out as you're going downhill, and it makes it where you can't load your glutes and where you can't sustain for longer periods. If you were doing this as an exercise, if you squat your deadlifts, then that means the same thing. You're going to overuse your quads, you're going to underuse your glutes, underuse your posterior chain, and that isn't going to enable you to build muscle in those areas. We, as a human race right now, as humans in general, we have a lack of glute strength, a lack of posterior chain strength, and we use our quads for a lot of things. Now, it's not saying our quads don't need to increase in strength. They do, but we need to balance them with the use of our hips and the use of our hamstrings and our core. And so as we think about the main differences in the squat versus the deadlift, it's the chest upright, dropping low, or for your actual deadlift, it's that you're more horizontal and you separate out this way and this way. And so then you have a more balance here, and this side is working to support you versus this side is working to support you. I hope this makes a whole lot of sense on how these two, they seem similar, but they're very different when it comes to what biomechanically you're going to be using posterior chain versus front anterior chain. I hope this helps. Let me know any tips that you have learned down in the comments, or if you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful for you as a whole. Bye, y'all.